when you're younger, those comments really do affect you, but those comments are always there even now. They just don't have an impact because as you go more towards your goals and you start achieving more, they almost bounce off you. It's been so inspiring to be alongside the other 13 authors. And I was just thinking, today, how lucky I was to have the opportunity to do the collaboration. Because in my head, for all these years that I wanted to come back to Burr and bring back this really high level of training and experience, I had an image in my mind of what kind of dance school I'd have.
Welcome to the Spotlight series, season 2 of the Showbiz Side Hustle podcast, where each week we meet one of the brilliant co-authors and creatives behind Spotlight on Success, the Performer-preneur book that's redefining what success looks like both in and out of the showbiz spotlight. I'm your host here, Nicole Louise Geddes, and in these special episodes, we learn even more about the stories behind the sequins. Raw, honest, powerful reminders that the end of one act is only the beginning of another. So listen in as we chat challenges and triumphs and inspire you to shine in any spotlight you like. Welcome, listeners, back to the Spotlight series, where we meet the incredible co-authors behind the Spotlight on Success Performer-preneur book collaboration. Today's guest is Deirdre Kearns, dancer, choreographer, and founder of the Original Dance Academy over in Ireland. From growing up in a small town with a small town mentality to training in the USA and being inspired by its next level energy, Deirdre's career has spanned countries, cultures, and countless stages, taking her across Europe and recently reaching her dreams of performing on cruise ships. As you will read, at the heart of her journey is deep passion for teaching and empowering young dancers to build both skills and confidence. In her chapter titled Trust in Yourself and Keep Going, Deirdre shares the emotional highs and the quiet doubts of pursuing a non-traditional dream and how believing in herself, even when others didn't, led her to be exactly where she was meant to be. This is a powerful story about intuition, chasing your dreams, and finally bringing your passion and your purpose home. Let's welcome our Irish dancing queen, Deirdre, into the spotlight.
Hello, thank you for having me and thank you for that wonderful intro.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey. The people that stepped up and said, hell yes, I'm coming in, I'm writing my story, I'm sharing it with the world, have been nothing short of incredible, and you are absolutely there. And I'm so grateful for that, Deirdre. So first and foremost, thank you right back. So we'll start with the questions, and there's a lot to get through. If you've read the book, readers, you will know that Deirdre was in fact training for another career in the beginning. You'll also know that that was a decision that wasn't necessarily made from passion or purpose. It was pretty much shoved on you by society's expectations. Would you say that's fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. So that career was in science. So I went down the route of a 4-year science degree, and it really was not something that I ever, felt a calling to or felt a pull towards. Really, the only thing that was pulling me was dance. But there was so little dance, I should say, in this town when I was younger. So that's almost 20 years ago now. Except for one dance class a week. So when I was 16, an amazing dance teacher came to the town and set up one 45-minute dance class a week, and I became absolutely obsessed. And I really started looking at dance as a career, but nobody around me could, I guess, help with that or guide in any way because it was such a foreign concept. So yeah, I went to the school guidance counselors. I went to counselors outside of school. Really, nobody could give me any guidance on that. And it seemed like everywhere that I turned, people were making negative comments about it, like, oh, but dance, that's not a career, that's not a proper job, that's just a hobby. How are you going to make money from that? And it really felt like nobody was in my corner. And, at that age, you're really looking outwardly, at least I was, to people on the outside and to people older than you to kind of help guide you in life. So these comments really did affect me, and I ended up choosing science, which was really, really hard. I did go to NYG in Galway and do the 4 years. I don't know how I got through the 4 years actually. Um, but I did, and I almost like, just ticked off that box, and then I could finally get on my way to doing my dance training.
It's an incredible story, and one that many of us will have experienced ourselves to some degree. That negativity about the career, the passion, the direction that we want to go, whether that's performing in the arts, or people may have heard it in other walks of life and other industries as well. And the difficulty, as you're saying, is when you are at that age where it's important to have support and guidance to unlock our dreams. The difficulty is when we're met with this negativity and we haven't got those people cheerleading us on. You and I both know now, later on in life, we found each other, we found the Performerpreneur community, you found other people along the way that are showing the possibilities and, doing the things and sharing that support. And we'll come back to how that has become your purpose too towards the end of the podcast. But yeah, I just really wanted you to know that I completely resonate with that negativity. And it's negativity that we then hear again when we want to pivot back out of the industry and try new things and do new things. Like it's like we can never please anyone. So I guess the bottom line to that is we have to just please ourselves. And you did have the courage, even after 4 years of training in science, to do you. And that's incredible, Deirdre, because many people get stuck with a decision and don't dare to change so drastically. So tell us about where that decision took you, because it was a big decision, it was a bold decision, but I know from knowing you as a friend and a client that that decision took you out of Ireland. Like you had to go, you needed to go be you where you were going to be accepted and celebrated.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to go back first to what you were saying about when you're younger, those comments really do affect you. But those comments are always there, even now. They just don't have an impact because as you go more towards your goals and you start achieving more, they almost bounce off you. So even now, I do get the odd one, but it's like water off a duck's back. I mean, the more you go towards your goals and the more you achieve, the more confident you get, and you don't need that outside validation then. Um, so yeah, I went to Dublin and did my training, which was a great foundation in my college in Dublin, but I needed more. I wanted a higher level of dance training, and I wanted to get out and really experience the dance industry. So I was lucky enough to get a scholarship to train in a college in America. And that was really, really incredible. I mean, the Americans, they take dance so seriously. It's like every class is like life and death, which was great. It suited me down to the ground. I love that like intensity. Um, so that really propelled me in my training. And after that, I moved to the UK, another country that, is like dance and the UK have such a strong history and such a long history. So it's really like a center of dance to get to. So I went to the UK, I performed, I taught in different dance schools, um, as well as during that time traveling to different countries like France and Greece, getting different performance contracts. So yeah, it brought me all over. Um, yeah.
But the thing, the beauty of that is it did take you all over. And from that starting point where it just didn't look possible, you have made the impossible possible with tenacity, with courage, with creativity. You didn't just perform, you have choreographed, you've created, you've led teams, you've pushed boundaries and the cruise ship dream, you felt that even that was still out of reach, even after all of these successes. You speak about that in your chapter, yet you pursued it and you found a way of getting on board and you have ticked that box too. I think we all need to reflect on the enormity of the things that we've done. And that just proves it for you too, which is why I have absolutely loved the process of writing our chapters, because we've been taken on that journey with Louisa to really go deeper into our stories. What did you reveal that you didn't really realize at the time that was so integral and so important to where you are now?
I guess it was the main thing I noticed about the whole journey. First of all, the journey through my career, but also in the journey of writing the book, the chapter. It really allowed me to get everything down on paper, um, and really see my accomplishments. And I realized everything just happened at the exact, perfect moment. Like with the cruise ships, I always thought, I'm too old for that now. And by the time I was offered these cruise ship contracts, I was preparing to move back to Ireland. So that dream was like totally, I had just forgotten about it. I thought, okay, that's not possible now. But they came at the exact perfect moment, actually. Um, and I do think if I got them when I was younger, I might not have been able to, I guess, cope with such a change, or, it just came at the right time. And the whole process of writing the book chapter really reveals that, like the timing of everything, trust in the timing of everything, trust yourself that you're going to get there eventually, even if it's, a few years later, it will still all work out.
And that's the chapter title, Trust Yourself, um, and Keep Going. And I think, that is a beautiful title for your story and your journey. It must have been easy to pick on reflection. It's like, actually, this is my message. Who would you love that message to reach? Who's your ideal reader?
I think, a younger version of myself. So somebody who wants to be a dancer but is unsure of, how to get there. Um, it is easier now because we have the online space, back when I was 16, 17, the internet wasn't what it is now. I mean, there was no Instagram, no Facebook. Um, but I would speak to I was going to say teenagers, but actually any age, because it's never too late. But someone who's not sure, and maybe the people around them, maybe they're a bit negative, or maybe they don't understand their goals. Um, just to tell them, you got to follow what is pulling you. Because if you have a feeling, whatever, I'm all into manifestation now, and I've learned, if we have a feeling inside of us like that, it's meant to be, you're meant to follow it. Um, so yeah, it would be someone like that who's maybe not so sure how to get where they want to be, but they know what they want to do. And they just need that extra bit of encouragement to keep going. It doesn't matter what people around you are saying, because you will find your community eventually. Like we have such a great community now with Performer-preneur, and everyone is so encouraging. And you will find a space like that that will help you get towards your goal.
I love that. You're absolutely right. And these people are going to find that book because we haven't done this alone. We've done this together in our community. So it will ripple through all of our co-author communities, friends, family, networks. And so people will read this book. It will reach the people that need it. And you're absolutely right. Any age, but those people that have got no support, no understanding, just that inspiration that it can absolutely be okay and you'll find a way. You spoke about then, Deirdre, about following that feeling. Now I know that you're not performing anymore. So did the feeling change? Did it dim? Was it a switch on and off? How did that evolve for you? Because now, as I said in the intro, you now own a dance academy over back in Ireland. We'll get onto that. But that feeling of transition, was it a big feeling, a small feeling, a knowing?
Yeah, it was a subtle knowing. And I can pinpoint actually exactly, when it happened. It was when I moved to France and I did this big job, it was a job like the type of magnitude that I had never done before. And it was also a leadership role. So I was leading a dance team. I was also performing. And it was so fulfilling. And it was still one of the best jobs I've ever had. And I almost felt like I had fulfilled that dream, of being a dancer. And I could tick off the box almost. Um, and what kind of became clear in that during that time in France was how much I love leading a team and teaching, and but also creating a space where the dancers feel really supported. Um, so once I finished that, I got back to the UK, and the feeling to move back to Ireland and finally start my dance school, it was getting stronger and stronger, and the urge to perform was getting less and less. Um, so yeah, I spent another year then in the UK teaching, and I was teaching for multiple different types of dance schools. So some were, quite strict technique classes and high level training. But I had started working for another dance school that was more laid back. And I remember going in, and the dance school owner was with me, and she said, Deirdre, you don't need to be teaching these students ballet technique. And I said, oh, but how else are they going to learn? And she said, oh, but they're just here to, they're here to have fun, to get fit, to have a good time, learn, they're going to learn dance, but in a fun way. And I was thinking, oh, they're just here to have fun. That was such a new thing to me. And because I had always thought I wanted to train, really, dancers who were really seriously wanting to be professional dancers. And then it changed when I started working for that dance school, and that became, you know, something that I enjoyed much more teaching as well. Just really bringing the students in and encouraging them, and not everything, they don't have to be technically perfect. I'm still teaching them, at a good level, but it's not so strict, and they're here to have a good time. So that's kind of where I evolved as a teacher. And my plans for my dance school also changed, because in my head for all these years that I wanted to come back to Burr and bring back this really high level of training and experience, I had an image in my mind of what kind of dance school I'd have. And in my mind, I was thinking, yeah, I'm going to be really, really strict. But then it changed. And now, with my dance school now, I do train the students to a high level, but I focus more on building their confidence, having them feel like they're a part of the family, a part of the team. And they love that, like they thrive off of that so much. And that's also what they're going to remember as well when they look back in years to come. They'll remember the feeling of being part of a team, and the feeling of performing, or the feeling of just coming in and enjoying class, rather than, they're probably not going to remember like a technical dance exercise, a combination across the floor. Or they might, I still remember mine from years ago, but they'll remember that feeling of, their teacher really encouraging them. And it doesn't have to be perfect, they don't have to be perfect in class. Some are just coming for a hobby and for fun, and that's totally fine too. There's it's a space for everyone, really.
And your chapter does express that so beautifully. You are wanting to create that environment of growth, facilitate the children to be confident, to feel nurtured and be part of the family. And you've done exactly what you set out to do. And it's really open and honest and transparent of you to talk us through that evolution. Again, that journey that you've been on, that final line of your chapter, it will all be okay. You can, you can do what you need to do. It will work out. Keep pushing forward. Nothing is forever. I think you say in the chapter, like there is change, and just to be brave. And you've been really brave. I guess from the outside looking in, a really brave move is to go back home. It's seemingly from reading the chapter and knowing you at that point in your life when you left, it was suppressing the Deirdre that we now know and love. It was not allowing you to flourish and grow because of your dreams being bigger than the town. So to go back as this new, bold, beautiful, bigger version of you is a brave move. How was that kind of accepted? How did that go? Has it been a journey from there, or was it just an easy switch back to normality?
It had its challenges for sure, coming back to a small town. When you're in the UK, you're quite anonymous, whereas here, everybody knows everything. But it's nice as well, the small town feeling. And I mean, most people are really encouraging and supportive. But like I said at the beginning, there are still some negative comments, but you get that everywhere. But it does feel great to come back and bring back what I always wanted to bring back. Because I would have loved when I was younger, to have a dance school that was going to bring this training and experience to the students. And now I have provided that to the students here. And I'm in a lot of primary schools around the county. So I go in the daytime and introduce them to acro dance. So acro dance is what I've niched down into. And most of them had never even heard that term, acro dance. They were like, what's that? So I introduced this whole new dance style to them, and they absolutely love it. And it's just great to bring that kind of the joy of dance to them, because it's something that previous generations just didn't have, and it's something that bigger towns and cities do have, but in this town, it is the only, I am the only school doing this dance style. So no, it feels good to come back and to see the familiar faces from years ago, and just be home again and start building up from this new version of myself.
Oh, I've got goose pimples. I can imagine you are absolutely celebrated in your town for being that brave, brilliant, bold, beautiful you that's gone off, sought her authentic self and then brought those passions and that purpose back to that town, and watching the children flourish. I'm sure your community absolutely is celebrating and grateful that you dared to go off on your journey and then you brought it all back home. And I mentioned passion and purpose because the whole book is based on that exact kind of understanding. The people that stepped forward, that took this journey with me for Performerpreneur, the book collaboration, Spotlight on Success, we explored that passion and purpose conundrum, that sweet spot. And it was very apparent with everybody that jumped in and got involved that that's where the magic really happened. And the magic has happened for all of us in many ways throughout all of our years, careers, training, journeys. But the very point we're all at now, seemingly, and is this the same for you? It feels like it is where the passion and the purpose have really met beautifully.
Definitely, yeah, yeah. It's very clear to me now. Years ago, and even up until maybe 5, 6 years ago, I was quite unclear about where I'm going, where is this path leading me, and now it has all come together to lead me back to this moment. You know, I guess it's been about 20 years in the making, and I got to live out my passion of being a dancer and traveling to different countries. And then I discovered my real purpose is, building confidence in my students, encouraging them, building up the next generation. And yeah, they've come together really well.
Really well. And you'd said earlier on in the podcast about not having that person in your life, and this book being for a younger version of you, and your whole itself is for that younger version of you. The book chapter, the message, the dance school, your purpose, it's all seemingly pointing at that younger version. And you've built your whole life now around what you needed. And when you didn't have it, you went and got it, Deirdre. Honestly, I could talk to you forever. Every single co-author is such an inspiration to me. Listeners, if you are listening, please do go and buy the book. If you've read the book already, show us some love, like and subscribe, head on over to socials, go find Deirdre, go find myself, any of the co-authors. Tell us, share it. We want to know who we're inspiring and who we are reaching. Watch us on YouTube. You can see us there in the flesh too. And come back to the podcast and listen again to all of the other co-authors. Deirdre, knowing and meeting all the co-authors, how empowered do you feel about being in this process alongside each other?
It's been so inspiring to be alongside the other 13 authors. And I was just thinking, today, how lucky I was to have the opportunity to do the collaboration. Because I imagine, and you've done this, you've written a book on your own, which is empowering as well. But I imagine maybe it would get a bit lonely. But I've had these other authors the whole way, and you and Louisa supporting us the whole way. And I remember back in the beginning when we first started talking about this, we all kind of said the same thing. We all said, but I don't have a story to tell. Who's going to want to hear my story? But when you delve in, and it is like a process of pulling your life apart and then putting it together in a coherent way. And they're all one right after the other in the book, and it's really inspiring and just something to be really proud of, actually. We've all had such full life experiences. So to see them all one after the other is a really, really interesting book. And I would definitely, encourage anyone, even if you're not interested in dance or you're not in the performing arts industry, just for anyone, it is a super interesting book to read.
I wholeheartedly agree. And when you say anyone, I'm going to elaborate on that because I was just thinking as you were talking about that, those people in the beginning of your journey, at the beginning of mine, that didn't understand the industry. Yeah, there's still people out there that don't get it, and they might have a child or a relative or a friend's friend. They'll have somebody in their circles that wants to pursue a career in our industry. And this book will help them understand all of the possibilities. Because when we get met with go find a real job, how much do we want to scream, this is a real job? And this book opens the eyes of people that don't understand and shines a light on all of the things that can come from the creativity, can come from the foundation of learning a skill. So impressive as dance and acro and circus. I mean, the people in the book have done some incredible things, and it's based on the foundation of their passion in the performing arts. So I think you're right. This book is for anyone because you don't know who might be in your circles that needs this support, needs you to understand a little bit harder, as well as the people that are living this journey that want to, not feel alone, to be seen and to come on this spotlight of success with us. I'm going to just pull out something else you said earlier about the feeling. And we talk about Spotlight on Success and the evolution and what success traditionally can look like in our industry and in other industries too. I think it's very clear that there's ways and rules and things that we all think we should adhere to. But success for you, Deirdre, what's that feeling of success? What does success feel like now? And was it different back then? Please feel free to go in all directions, but success being a feeling rather than a tangible thing, what does that feeling feel like?
Yeah, it feels like I've stopped chasing and stopped looking, and the constant stress or the constant rat race almost of chasing a feeling of success has stopped or has lowered. because there's always more and more things that I want to do. But I do feel very fulfilled, and like I have accomplished a lot. So that feeling, yeah, it's just a calmness, really. It's yeah, I can stop looking outside and chasing, and just accept I've accomplished all of this. I mean, I am happy with it. It doesn't have to look like success to anybody else.
I love that. I agree. And it is success. That feeling is success because we all know, listeners, collaborators, everybody knows that hustle and that chase is hard work and it's rewarding, but the feeling is definitely that calm, that clarity, that knowing that you've done all you can, you've done your best, you've been to where you need to go, and then you've come home. And that feeling of home can be in the very literal sense, like you, and you've gone home, or just wherever you put yourself in the world, like me. But just that calm to me is the feeling of home. You're absolutely right. Deirdre, you said that there's always something ahead of you that you would seek to go after one at any given appropriate time. What does the future look like for Deirdre?
But right now, I'm totally focused on my dance school. So it's going really, really well. We're going into our third year, and we're expanding still. We're going into a new town, a new location in the next couple of months, which is really exciting. We have a couple of performances coming up, so I'm fully focused on the dance school and growing that for now. But I'm always evolving, and you never know. You never know where the future will bring you. So I'm open to everything and all opportunities. But for right now, I'm happy to grow my dance school.
So your chapter title is probably the perfect way to summarize and end that. Trust in yourself and keep going. And you'll get to where you're meant to be and where you're going to go. And I look forward to following that journey, to watching your dance school grow and grow. You have done incredibly well in 3 years. You had set your mind to it. You went home. You've achieved beyond expectations. I'm sure you should be wholeheartedly celebrated in your town for being that leader, that person that has the tenacity to take change home. And then in the future, who knows? But I'll be here as your biggest supporter and cheerleader with my Performer-preneur flag. And just very grateful, Deirdre, that one, you have chosen to be a collaborator, two, that you are such a brilliant member of the Performer-preneur community, and three, that you're leading the way for that next generation, not only in your hometown. Let's just make that clear. That's where you are and that's what you're doing. But I know that your ripple effect will be much, much wider than that. So well done, you.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me and having me part of the collaboration and for having me here today.
Absolute pleasure. Big love, my darling.
Thank you.
There you have it. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Spotlight series, where stories shine and success gets redefined. If you loved what you heard, hit like, follow, or subscribe. And be sure to grab your copy of Spotlight on Success over on Amazon. And don't forget to tag us at PerformerPreneur across all socials. If you've been inspired today to step into a new spotlight, you can find a whole community ready to support you at performerpreneur.co.uk, as well as up-and-coming events and even more about each author. Until next time, stay bold, stay brilliant, and continue to shine.